This is for our friends at Definitive, right?
Definitive Coffee in Tokyo, Japan. They are an importer of Panama greens, distribute to your favorite Japanese roasters. Harry and I visited.
Our friend Aki there.
Yeah,
He,
a couple weeks ago.
we spoke to him for like 4 hours. We had a good time. I just mentioned that I've never had Chico Gallo before, and then he just let me just hand you some because you gave us coffee. So really cool because it's they had less than they they can use on bars, so they wanted to give me some because I expressed interest. And this one is a BOP V-04, so varietals ranked number 4 this year from the Hartman farm. I also expressed interest in trying something from the Hartman family because I wanted something premium on our menu at Moonwake, and now this is here. I saved it so that when Brian got back, we can have this
Little
fun
brew session.
Very
fun.
holographic logo.
Yeah.
A little hard to read. This looks promising.
Okay, so it's this coffee. We're
That's
gonna
perfect.
brew it. Very excited. I actually really have enjoyed Definitive. The last few times, I believe, Robert or Ethan have passed me Definitive. It's always been tasting good.
That's
This year, last year's version of this.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So what's a Chico Gallo B
Yeah.
or
Most of my experiences with Definitive have been really strong. I mean,
They source really good coffee.
yeah, because you did mention they were concerned about roast level. They're like, oh, well, would I like roast level? That was on a stream somewhere here. This is the video of it. A lot of Japanese roasters, I would say a lot of Asian roasters, they do develop a little more because I think a lot of the people really like more sweetness forward coffees. So you get that with more development. But in my experience of Definitive samples that you've handed me, they're pretty light and you can push them pretty hard. You can brew them with, very modern techniques. I know they brew in a very unique way at the shop there, and it's all done on roast.
roast, so 200 grams at a time. Very expensive lots of only. And it's an air roaster, not your typical.
It kind of makes sense that after only serving BOP V07. So it's
I mean, it makes sense. They're doing low dosages, but most of what Definitive is known for out here is
auction lots.
Auction, right? Premium stuff. So it's really nice to be able to get the coffee here. It's really hard to get it here. So thank you guys for making the trip there. And
we went
building
just
those
for
relationships. So I'm excited to try this because this is a not Panama Gesha. It's not a Gesha, so that's going to be Panama coffee. So
What is a Chico Gallo? An Ethiopian landrace. That's all I know.
So 15 grams, 15.2 grams. How should we brew this? I mean, this is actually pretty light, so...
You should do your thing.
Okay, do my thing. I guess let's just brew it with the time more, timid more.
Your favorite.
And let's
The
do this.
process is anaerobic, 36 hours, natural. Little funk, perhaps.
Maybe just enough for me.
Given it's the BOP V, you're allowed to do that. You can do stuff like that there. In Hartman family,
Anaerobic natural, okay.
V04.
I'll brew this 94 Celsius. I think that seems good for this. So with a lot of these more... I don't really think this is experimental, in my opinion, but it's veering towards that. Especially when there's more extended fermentations, and it's natural or anaerobic. In this case, anaerobic natural. I like to do a little bit on the lower temperature to try to round things out. I'm just going to kind of let the kettle decline in temperature, and we're going to do lower agitation, and we're going to do mellow drip for a lot of this. But I think that's going to give us a really nice cup.
But you get crazy stuff in the varietal side, like Black Moon Constellation.
That is number 1, right?
That's number 1.
That coffee is extremely expensive. It's like 300.
Very expensive.
It's more than 300 a pound. No, it's 150 a pound just for the
But
regular
I
Black
think
Moon.
Definitive got it.
Oh, they did. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember it said on the menu, it said just try it.
Definitive and Friends. So all the Japanese folks got a little bit of it. It's a 92.38 Choroso.
Oh, this is a Choroso.
No. This is a Goramo, but the winner.
The winner was a churroso.
Okay.
So Panama is trying to say, we can do non-Gesha stuff too.
Yes. I mean, we've seen, at like Alita, we've seen Katuais, we're seeing a lot of
Seen Pacamaras,
different expressions of the Panama flavor profile. Sometimes they're definitely hit or miss depending on what you
Oh wow, we
might
should
be
grind
into.
this.
Yeah. Hold it over.
Oh, very interesting.
Wow.
It's very straightforward.
That
there's
is
stuff going on.
quite interesting.
like with a lot of these delicate stuff, you have to like think, right? This one is overtly present.
I think these flavor notes on the bag are
I'm
incredibly
gonna
accurate.
turn over, so I don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is. I'll look at it.
It's holographic.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see on the camera here, but yeah, very excited for this. Just tear it a little. Yeah.
A little naughty.
I've seen that raw protect before.
So, what am I smelling? It smells very.
Coffee.
Yeah, it smells like coffee. Tropical leaning. A ton of yellow fruit. There's a level of florality in this coffee that actually is also very surprising, where you could perceive this as maybe actually being very geisha-like. But I think it's loud in terms of yellow, tropical for me.
Melon, mango.
Melon, mango for sure. The interesting thing to me is this does not smell like an anaerobic natural, or when I think about it. I mean, you can tell there is like a little bit of stuff there, but does not come off as fermenty or as like winey as you may experience with something like, you know, I think about like your Alita or your El Burro ASDs or any of those anaerobic slow dries, right? There's none of that in here. Incredibly clean. Also, the roast is smelling really nice. Like, I'm not smelling anything, you know, off with the way this is roasted. So let's go ahead and brew it now. It is pretty light. Hard to see here, but it's light. Do you by chance know how they roast on the roast?
Power.
Feel.
Okay, power. By
Power profile.
power pro. Okay. I mean, the one nice thing about the roast is that's probably the closest thing you can get to a loring in a very small form factor. But I'd love to go and visit this coffee shop.
Their batch size is 100 grams.
Oh, wow.
They have everything like in a refrigerator, I think.
I'm still going to go in and manually agitate. So, but I think keeping the temperature is going to be the key thing here. This coffee.
The shop is basically a bar, right? Like they're open until 10 p.m.
That smells great. There's a level of florality in this coffee that is.
Ooh, there's something interesting in the
Yeah, there's like a lot of actually a lot happening in here that that surprises me that this isn't, you know, like you.
This was a geisha.
Yeah, right. You would be like, this is not a geisha, which is crazy.
Hey man, geisha isn't the only varietal out there.
Geisha first and then everything else.
You don't want geisha to be the first.
So I'm gonna do 3 pours.
Bad for the economy.
That's a global warming.
Yeah.
And I think we'll stretch this coffee out to 16.5, around that area. But I am now I do see the anaerobic a little, the extended fermentation stuff. I mean, not like extended in the context of extended, but I see the longer fermentation there. It's clean, still very clean smelling. Very straightforward still. To me. Very, very, very straightforward.
No thinking necessary to understand there's stuff going on.
Wow. So I'll pour up to like 245-ish. And I'm just going to let the kettle decline in temperature. That. Wow. Okay. It's smelling really good. Really good. You should smell it. That's our final pour. So 15 to 245. Yeah. That's really nice.
Thank you, Definitive. Oh wait, we're not.
Thank you, Definitive.
What does it say? Ultra specialty?
Definitive Ultra Specialty.
What does it
So
say?
you gotta stand here so people can see the shirt. He's got the Definitive T-shirt, Ultra Specialty, and we're gonna be drinking some Definitive coffee as well. Total brew time on this, 2:35-ish, and I got my 3 pours there. Flow is very fast, very consistent. Quite excited for this now. Oh wow. Okay, here we'll pour these in here. Are you?
All right.
Or do you want to post brew remin?
Because their water is too salt.
I'm very excited for this. All right.
We've peaked.
We've truly peaked. We have Definitive at home. Literally at home. Cheers. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's incredibly straightforward coffee. You gotta like look at it and be like, wow, look at the colors.
Don't do that in a shop.
Don't do that in their shop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, does it look right?
No influencers allowed in that shop.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, don't say that.
Wow.
Tastes like a Panama.
That's great. That's okay. Whoa. There's a lot of stuff happening here. So again, this is BOP V-04 from Definitive, and it is from the Hartman family. Okay, so this is actually a thinking coffee for me. Even though it is very straightforward, there's a lot of interesting complexity here, and I really want to let this cool down before I say anything.
I'm a funk enjoyer, so it just comes out. You get your mango, tropicality, orange blossom, meaning.
It's a lot more acidity forward than I would have expected it to be when we were brewing it. And
Why?
on what?
Why?
Why? Well, because you wouldn't expect when I look at a anaerobic natural from Panama world, I don't really think they're usually very like acidity forward in this, or tropical acidity forward.
Yeah, so it's a touch of anaerobic.
Yeah.
It's not like 720 hours.
Yeah, right. Mango, melon.
Sure.
I really, really like this linger on my palate, the sweetness. The sweetness on my palate is what's interesting here. If you think about how, with some of these Panama geishas, I have found there to be like maybe like a brown sugar sweetness component on there.
Baking spices.
Yeah, those types of things. That's what's in here. But there isn't that, there is florality, but it's not like expressive florality that you might find out of maybe like a vanilla-leaning Esmeralda. It's kind of in its own area, and I think that might be because of the anaerobic natural component to this. But the main thing is it's like there is this level of expressiveness with this tropical acidity, and then the main component that's interesting to me here is the sweetness. Like it is just lingering on my palate. This is incredibly interesting to drink because a lot of what I'm describing are these characteristics that you will find out of Panama geisha, right?
Yeah.
This is not geisha.
I've had Mundo Nubos from elsewhere, and they tend to not be too optimistic, right? Like earthy stuff. Maybe one or two good qualities, but this is pretty consistent throughout.
Oh, this
it's
is
well-rounded.
Chico
Chico
Yeah,
I've not had Chico Gallo anywhere else because you can't get it. It's not easy to get.
It's not easy to get. And it's just Ethiopian landrace, like something like that.
Ooh. I do see some of that anaerobic in here now that it's cooled down, but it's the acidity that's buried under the sweetness. Like we're talking, it's still very sweetness forward. The acidity is that like nice tropical mango. The intensity level of this is also interesting. That's like the thing is like when we're saying straightforward, I think it's the intensity. There's actually quite a lot of depth to this coffee.
So this is what I mean when like Japanese roasters are actually just, it is more developed, but their execution of it is actually really good in that the coffee is still super expressive. They're not like trying to pull away from the expressiveness of the coffee. It's just adding a bit more sweetness.
Yeah, it's just like in this example, or like at least what I have observed with Definitive roasts is I do think there's a highlight of sweetness, right? Like they're not trying to say, okay, we want to cover up anything in the coffee, right? They're trying to say let's enhance the sweetness and how this is roasted. But we don't want to cover up any of the expressive qualities of this coffee.
And it's like if you dial it properly, it's not going to be that brown. Like that term is like used so derogatorily now that it's just like it can just be more like a sweetness miler thing instead of calling it brown.
Yeah. But also, you want to brew these coffees in a way that enhances the sweetness, right? That's why we're going, I would say lower temperatures than what, like for me, I would bring this 94 Celsius, which is kind of the temperatures I look for 94 to, 92 to 94. And I'm doing lower agitation with something Mellow Drip, which really boosts up the sweetness. But also, doing something like Mellow Drip is, I think, increasing a lot of the clarity and definition of the coffee. And usually when you do stuff like that, that's when you're going to be like, you're going to find problems with the coffee. You're going to find like, it's going to be like, your things will fall out in terms of the processing or the roast style. But I'm not really detecting any of that with this. So I think this is, first of all, what we're experiencing is right off the bat when we were grinding the coffee is like, this is a high quality coffee. Like this is a really incredibly strong coffee. Now we're tasting the brew. That's where I'm saying like, okay, those qualities that we were smelling are not being obscured by the roast. And I think I did a decent job at brewing this as well. But yeah, this is really good because again, this is from Japan. There are when you get up to this price point or this type of coffee experience, a lot of people will scrutinize a lot of those things, right? And they'll be like, oh well, they're in Asia, they're going to roast it and they're going to toast your Panama Gesha. But this isn't a Panama Gesha, but I think this is a really strong coffee.
Go to Definitive as if you're going to a bar, not as like a cafe.
Like go for an experience, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's going to come in this. Fancy interior, very minimal seating, so it's not a cafe.
Now that this has really cooled down, I think you guys should try it. Let's give our final or more final opinions on this coffee. We'll look at the flavor notes again. I kind of forgot, but I think we were tasting this and it's very straightforward in terms of what this acidity is.
The finish is better now.
The acidity has really started to pop.
Yeah, that like
intensity is
funky
there.
kick to it that Robert will probably.
But it's not. So that's what I'm saying. It's like at the back I was getting that anaerobic natural, but it's clean anaerobic natural. This is like elevating coffee anaerobic natural, right? This is not trying to cover up stuff.
It's not synthetic forward. There's a hint of it.
So the flavor notes on this were lemon, mango, floral, intense flavor of bright tropical fruits, which was exactly what we were getting.
Easy.
Very straightforward. I'm not tasting anything that's covering up the coffee from a roasting perspective, right? This tastes to me like, actually, it kind of tastes to me similar to some of the way you roast on roast, the more like transparent, Loring-esque style of
Less
roast.
Stylized.
Yeah. It tastes like that, which actually works really well with, I would say, the washed and cleaner coffees. I think they probably approach that this way with this coffee because the way it was processed and all of that is actually quite clean.
It's also easier to iterate and put out better stuff when you're only doing 100 grams at a time, right?
Yes. So I think this is an incredible coffee, and thank you for picking this coffee up.
Yeah,
they gave it to us.
They gave it to us, and we gave them coffee. They gave some to us. I expressed great interest in trying nice coffees, and they gave me some.
Yeah, but this is an incredibly interesting
coffee.
This is really interesting coffee considering it's not Gesha, right? Yeah. And Panama's doing some really great stuff.
It's kind of crazy. BOP V-04, that's pretty high ranking.
Yeah, very high ranking. So, we'll put this up there as a video for the friends at Definitive. I one day would love to visit that shop.
I hope you do.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll go with you guys. Is there a way to buy this in the USA?
No.
They have a web shop. I think they ship, but it is expensive.
Okay. So not easy to buy, but maybe we can do a group buy or something like that in the future. Depends on, what the Definitive, we can work out something with them. Maybe we'll do a group buy on the Discord.
Not to like rank on Definitive, but you probably have a better chance of buying from like Acid because, you're still getting the same bean, different roast profile, but like you have more variety than just buying top lot.
Yeah, but also, I think the direction is a little different, right? Whereas Definitive is like importing more of those coffees, right? But I think this is a really unique experience, and still to me, of the Panamas you have handed to me from Japan, I do think Definitive is the better.
I do like giving you bad Panamas.
Yeah, well, I do get a lot of Panamas, but yeah, I remember last year Robert was in town and he gave me a lot of Definitive Panamas, and that's why I was like, wow, Definitive, like it's actually you can push these coffees.
The BOP of Chico Gallo.
Yeah, it was like I think I remember
before it got recognized.
That. Yeah, but it's like, I like the roast style of these guys. They do good work. Coffee tastes great. I also like that it is kind of hard to get.
That's and Asia is more willing to participate in these auctions.
Yeah, getting to get these coffees. So okay, cool. Thank you for watching. Thank you Definitive for getting that coffee, or thank you guys for getting that coffee for Definitive.